As some parts of the world prosper beyond anything we ever imagined, others pay the price for most of that development in the way of worsening pollution and rising toxicity levels, a problem directly affecting millions around the world. It's a sad reality to see millions of people living in the most harmful environments on Earth. What makes it even sadder is that most, if not all of the planet's highly toxic places have been the result of human abuse on nature. Case in point, here are 10 of planet's most toxic places. Citarum River, Indonesia. The Citarum River in Indonesia is labeled the most polluted river in the world by local government agencies and NGOs charged with its cleanup. The river provides 80% of Jakarta's water supply, irrigates farms that supply 5% of the country's rice, and is a source of water for upwards of 2,000 factories, hence affecting as many 5 million people. The Citarum River basin sits in Bandung, West Java, Indonesia. High concentrations of lead, aluminum, manganese and iron in the water, mostly from the 2,000 or so factories along the riverbank. The Indonesian government has recognized the problem and is taking action, securing hundreds of millions of dollars of financial assistance to help restore the Citarum River. Dresden, Russia. Until the end of the Cold War, Dresden was one of Russia's principal manufacturing sites of chemical weapons. Nearly 300,000 tons of chemical waste were improperly disposed of there between 1930 and 1998, leading the Guinness Book of World Records to name it the most chemically polluted city in the world. In 2003, the death rate in the area was reported to exceed the birth rate by 260%, and the average life expectancy was reported to be 42 years for men and 47 for women. A quarter of the city's 300,000 residents are still employed in factories that produce toxic chemicals. Laarroya, Peru. Laarroya is a small town in the Peruvian Andes. Under different circumstances, it could even be an idyllic tourist haven, as the region is known for its natural beauty. Thanks to a metal smelter operating in the town for almost a century though, the reality couldn't be more different. Easily one of the most polluted places in the world, the smelter has almost permanently poisoned almost every part of life in this small town. According to a 1999 survey, almost 99% of all kids living here have lead levels far beyond the World Health Organization limit, and the situation doesn't seem to be getting any better. While there have been many community-led efforts to raise awareness about the state of the town, the government has made little to no efforts to fix the problem. The Niger River Delta, Nigeria. An average of 240,000 barrels of crude oil are spilled in the Niger River Delta in Nigeria every year. The oil spills have not only contaminated the delta's surface and groundwater, but also the ambient air, and locally grown crops with hydrocarbons, including known carcinogens such as polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. These spills gravely affect the environment and the health of the population. A 2013 article published in the Nigerian Medical Journal estimated that the widespread pollution could lead to a reduction in household food security by 60% and a 24% increase of childhood malnutrition. Semipalatinsk, Kazakhstan. The story of Soviet nuclear testing at Semipalatinsk is a cautionary tale of how national security can be used to justify willful deception that jeopardizes public well-being and the health of future generations. In Semipalatinsk, the local population was exposed to high levels of radioactivity from nuclear weapon tests for several decades. The testing site, then known as Polygon, was used for an estimated 110 nuclear tests from 1949 to 1963, affecting over 1.5 million nearby residents at the time. A number of genetic defects and medical conditions, ranging from cancers in infancy to birth defects and congenital malformations, have been attributed to the test fallout. Along with an epidemic of babies born with severe neurological damage, major bone deformations or missing limbs, there have also been significantly increased rates of hematological disorders, such as leukemia. Kabwe, Zambia. For decades, mining for lead was popular in Kabwe, Zambia, located in the central part of the country. Unfortunately, the practice has severely polluted the area. The smelting process, or extracting the metal from its ore, releases heavy metals into the air. The particles settle on the ground, and seep into the soil and the water, soil that children play in, and water that the locals drink. During the time it was open, the Kabwe mine generated 800,000 tons of lead, plus 1.8 million tons of zinc and 80,000 kilograms of silver, according to Berkeley Mineral Resources. Children are growing up with an average 5 to 10 times the allowable EPA maximum of lead in their bloodstream. Sukinda, India. Sukinda contains more than 97% of India's chromite ore deposits. 12 mines operate without environmental controls, leaching hexavalent chromium into drinking water supplies. More than 30 million tons of waste rock are spread over the surrounding areas, and untreated water is discharged by the mines into the river. Approximately 70% of the surface water and 60% of the drinking water contains hexavalent chromium at more than double national and international standards, and levels of over 20 times the standard have been recorded. Chromite mine workers are constantly exposed to contaminated dust and water, and gastrointestinal bleeding, tuberculosis and asthma are common ailments. Local research suggests nearly 25% of the inhabitants, roughly a half-mile from the sites, are suffering from pollution-induced diseases. Tianying, China. Tianying in Anhui province is one of the largest lead production bases in China, with an output accounting for half of the country's total production. Low-level technologies, illegal operation, and the lack of any serious pollution control measures in the firms have caused several severe lead poisoning cases in the region. It is also believed that there are numerous small-scale recycling plants in the area, which are notorious for polluting. As a result of these indiscriminate practices, lead processing firms in Tianying have been pressured by local residents and officials to shut down their operations. The average lead concentrations in air and soils were 8.5 times and 10 times national health standards. 85% of air samples collected had lead concentrations higher than the national standards. Local crops and wheat at farmers' homes were also contaminated by lead dust, with some levels 24 times higher than national standards. Residents, particularly children, are reported to suffer from lead poisoning and its related effects: lead encephalopathy, lower IQs, short attention spans, learning disabilities, hyperactivity, impaired physical growth, hearing and visual problems, stomach aches, irritation of the colon, kidney malfunction, anemia and brain damage. Hazaribagh, Bangladesh. There are 270 registered tanneries in Bangladesh, and around 90 to 95% are located at Hazaribagh on about 25 hectares of land. Most of these use old, outdated, and inefficient processing methods. Together, the tanneries employ anywhere between 8,000 and 12,000 people. Every day, the tanneries collectively dump 22,000 cubic liters of toxic waste, including cancer-causing hexavalent chromium, into the Buriganga, Dhaka's main river and a key water supply. The homes of tannery workers in Hazaribagh are built next to contaminated streams, ponds, and canals. Informal leather recyclers who burn scraps of leather to produce a number of consumer products also heavily pollute the air. Aside from the fact that hexavalent chromium is a well-known carcinogen, workers and local residents also face a number of less severe, yet more common health problems every day. Skin and respiratory diseases, for instance, result from repeated exposure to hazardous chemicals when measuring and mixing them as part of the tanning process. Acid burns, rashes, aches, dizziness, and nausea are also common health problems faced by local residents. Agbogbloshie, Ghana. Agbogbloshie, in Accra, Ghana, is the second largest electronic waste, or e-waste processing area in West Africa. E-waste such as discarded electronics include refrigerators, microwaves, and televisions lay around in this waste dump. Every year, Ghana imports around 215,000 tons of second-hand consumer electronics primarily from Western Europe, and generates another 129,000 tons of e-waste annually. The problem arises in breaking down the machines into spare parts. The most toxic activity is the burning of copper wires to reduce the plastic coating. Metals released during this process often get into the air and soil, near heavily populated areas. Because of the heterogeneous composition of electronics, recycling them safely requires a high level of skill. From soil samples, experts have estimated lead levels in the area to be as high as 18,125 parts per million. In the US, the Environmental Protection Agency standard for lead in soil is only 400 parts per million. These most polluted places on Earth stand as perfect examples of the human cost of unfettered, unsustainable progress, as well as give us a glimpse into the future we're all looking at if we don't change our currently unsustainable systems of mass production. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. See you soon.